and then I came up behind them and did the right thing. So we're going to talk about that that call here in a second, along with some Facebook stuff that I posted, and how it's funny, the psychological aspect of things, and how if you ask 100 people the same question, you'll get 99 different answers or 100 different answers. So we'll get into that here in a second. All right, so the service call that inspired this video today, I went out to a few days ago, and I made a video explaining what was going on. I'll link it in the description below. But I went on Facebook, and this is regards, that's what inspired this Facebook post I made. And I'm not going to bore you with the entire thread because it's long. It's like 6 or 7 pages here. But I'm going to tell you what I said, and then I'm going to do some Cliff's notes on some of the responses. And you can kind of tell from the responses on who does the right thing when they come across a cracked heat exchanger, and how you psychologically can really mess up somebody, a consumer, with what you tell them. And you gotta be diplomatic. You can't scare people. You need to tell them the facts, and you know, not just be focused on selling them something. And that's where it comes back to the private equity firms, because they're pushing these supposed service technicians to sell stuff, and they're nothing but flat out sales techs. And we're going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to keep pushing. I think this is my destiny when all said and done with HVAC, is to expose this stuff more than other people do. And you know, I have to be very discreet about it, though, because I can't mention any names. But all I can do is educate the public on this. So I made a post here on Facebook. Let's get to it. So I said some words of wisdom for newer techs and some of you so-called experienced techs. A crack in a heat exchanger doesn't mean you tell the customer they absolutely have CO, carbon monoxide, in their home. You do not tell them that they could be sick or dying. Unfortunately, there are too many HVAC techs out there that spread this fear around. It is what they call in the sales boot camps a call to action. Don't be one of the guys or gals that does this crap. I see it all too often. So that was my post on an HVAC group on Facebook, and I got some responses. I'm going to do the Cliff's notes. I'm going to try not to read too much, but I think it's interesting how many different points of view you get on this, and it helps you weed out the good techs from the bad techs, and the people that you want out at your home. So the first one is, and I agree with this technician, you run a combustion analysis. CO can cause a serious illness and is often misdiagnosed. You can preach to the choir types who loudly announce their way is the only right way, instead of actively learning like the rest of us just to justify why they didn't run the proper tests that could save lives. And this person is trying to talk about me, but they weren't out on the service call, so they have no idea what I did. I ran all the tests. I set the customer at ease. I sold the furnace, so obviously I did something right, and they have their full trust in me. And I said, hopefully you're talking about someone else. I said a thorough diagnosis with a high quality carbon monoxide detector that reads down to 0 parts per million is the way to go. I am talking about techs that tell the customer this without any proof. The ones that scare them, shut the gas valve off, which is fine. Eliminate the scaring them part, though. You can shut the gas valve off and leave, as you should. Waiting for a call that the customer wants to replace. You and I both know that's what they're trying to do. And I got a lot of thumbs up on that, because that is true. You can tell them the risks, but you know, you can tell them, hey, it's up to you, and make sure you get it video documented. Make sure that you have it in writing that you told them you can do whatever you want. I'm saying you should leave this off, but I'm also not going to make you freeze. And if you feel like you need to turn it on, then you turn it on. But that's up to you. At that point, the ball is in their court, and they're the ones that are, you know, going to potentially harm themselves or their family. You're not doing it. But to make it inoperable is, I don't think it's ethical, especially when you have 0 parts per million in the home. You know, make sure that they have the proper carbon monoxide detectors in place. But and then it is a call to action. You tell them, hey, it needs to be replaced. But to scare them and tell them that they're sick or dying is not something I'm ever going to do. So let's move on here. Got some more. So we got another technician here, and I think this is a good technician here. He says, sadly, I think a lot of cracked heat exchangers are nothing but selling techs lining their pockets, and he's absolutely correct. On the other hand, if you find one that is legitimately cracked, you need to state on your invoice that it is cracked, and you advise against running it until repaired or replaced, and have them sign off on it. And that's exactly true. You advise them, but you don't force them, especially if it's cold outside. A small crack can become a big crack at any time. That is true. Today's furnaces do have more safeties to prevent a tragedy, but we also have too many ambulance chasing lawyers. Protect your clients, protect yourself. If you recommend not using and turning off valve and they decide to, it's on them, and you're protected with a signature that they acknowledge such. So that's basically what I just said. This guy's smart. Next guy, just be honest and educate. It hasn't failed me yet. If you educate them well enough, they will make the right decision. And if they don't, you covered your ass. This guy says, I don't try to scare people. I like to leave it up to personal freedom. I can tell you all day to not smoke 4 packs of cigarettes, and if you do, that's on you. But this is my opinion. I'd like to shut it off. Sign here. Another tech, if this heat exchanger is cracked, the furnace should be repaired or replaced, whether they use an analyzer or not. I don't need an analyzer to use my eyeballs. But you do want to show the customer that they are not going to get sick, at least not at the moment. And then I said, this thread isn't about that. It's about the psychological methods used. This is me talking about the psychological methods used to instill fear on uneducated consumers. It is happening way too much. This guy says, if you're leaving cracks in the heat exchanger, sell them a life insurance policy. So he's misinterpreting what's going on here. And this is the same guy from before. I'll call him JK. He goes, what pisses me off is the ones that aren't cracked, and they try to scare people to death. Had an 8-year-old Ream in awesome condition. I told the homeowner her dogs were going to die. He told the homeowner her dogs were going to die from carbon monoxide poisoning. He could change furnace for $7,500. Nothing wrong with furnace, even if there was a heat exchanger under warranty. So that's another thing. You can, if it's a newer furnace and you tell them that, you know, they can get it fixed a lot cheaper by warranting that heat exchanger, which a lot of them don't even give them the option of doing that. And then I responded, yep, this was the point of the post. Not to try and be schooled about diagnosing stuff. If you have any doubts at all, you take it out and fill it up with water in their yard, and then you'll know if there's a leak in it. Another guy, you might want to take heat exchanger class when it comes to your area, phenomenal class materials. I was checking out heat exchangers 30 years ago, running combustion analysis, and I would even take them out and fill them up with water. That's tried and true. And I think it's a great method if the customer wants to pay you to do it. So if there's any, like I said, if there's any question at all, of course you replace it. You replace the furnace or you replace the heat exchanger. That's a simple conclusion to come to. If you have a crack or a hole in your heat exchanger, it's only going to get worse. You might be under the safe limit today, but what about 3 months from now? And I'm 1,000% going to shut the gas off. The homeowner is more than welcome to turn it back on. And that's true. Or turn the breaker off or disconnect something so they can't run it. Sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to show them how they can turn it back on, because you're not going to leave somebody in the cold. If they choose to harm themselves, that's up to them. We've already talked about that. And this guy said, another guy said, companies are using scare tactics daily. I didn't say, oh, that's me. He says, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, I agree, scare tactics are more importantly lying to a customer. I think we've said enough. I just want to show you this last one that this guy said, and I actually had to block him because he's a moron. Let's see, where did he say that? This guy said something really nasty. And then we'll be done with this. I just want to, oh, here we go. He just says, who asked you? Question mark. So you know where this guy works for, probably. And I said, these types of responses are why this group will always be a drag. And that's true. And he goes, you're a drag on here preaching the gospel, acting like someone doing their job is a crime because you're a punk. So as you can see, there's some idiots out there. But, you know, back to the private equity firms, you know, they, I think they're predatory, a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them, but the one, any company that I ever hear bad things at in any city that I've ever been in, are always, their parent company is always one of those big corporations, one of those firms that is pushing to sell stuff. And, you know, if I'd have went out to this job I was at a few days ago and I would have found nothing at all that seemed suspect, you know, my hands were already, I was already handcuffed because the previous guy had said there was a crack, and he actually did show them a crack. And what if I can't find it and I tell them to turn it back on? Then I'm liable. So at that point, what I did was I walked in there and I told them, hey, we're not even gonna do that. We're not gonna scope this thing out, nothing. We're going to say it's cracked, and then I'm gonna show you guys what your air quality is. I'm gonna use my meter, and I'm gonna show you what you're breathing in. You know, because like I said on the other video, the one guy was thinking he was sick already, and you know, who am I to tell him that he's crazy? But he might have something else going on. But all I can do is use my test instruments to assure them that it's safe, and go from there. Because what he did was he started questioning my meter, if my meter worked. So I said, do you have anything else in here that will produce carbon monoxide? And he goes, well, how about I have a propane forklift out in the warehouse. So I said, okay, let's go out there and test against that. And sure as shit, when I put my meter up to it, after he fired it up, it skyrocketed real fast. So he knew that my meter worked, and that set their mind at ease. And then we went back in and tested their airstream more. And, you know, I flat out told them, hey, if you want to turn it back on, you can. I recommend that you do not. They came to a conclusion that they would not turn it back on, and that's good. We'll get it replaced. They have space heaters they can run in the meantime to keep themselves warm. It's not really cold here right now, so that's okay. So anyway, to summarize, private equity firms, if you use an HVAC company that uses those, be very, very careful. You might be getting overcharged or screwed over on some stuff. Not by all of them. I'm not lumping them all in the same group. And then, you know, heat exchanger cracks, it's, you know, you should always fix it, but be nice, don't scare people, you know, be level-headed, and just tell them the facts and let them make their decisions. So with that being said, that's the end of today's video. Still waiting on the footage from that service call, you know, because the customer took all the video. He said it's a very large file. He's having trouble downloading it. So hopefully I get that soon, and I'll have that service call for you. So until then, I will see you on the next one.